Hey guys, back with another Maplestory video here. This time, a few PRs, first run post V4, a little pieces of content, hard Damien. Forgot to record my Lucid run, but wanted to share Mulong because as of right now, I am #1 in the server and I'm going to cherish this until other players figure out how to maximize their damage, other paladins with better gear, figure out how to watch this video and figure out how to maximize their time. But this is the nice thing about paladins and why my time was just so good was that I was able to use my V4 where you actually can precast it and it just stays there for 10 seconds. And it's not going to disappear until it hits so many attacks and lines. So it's actually going to, one hammer is just going to stay there forever for 10 seconds until it runs out of time. And then if you can kind of cycle that so as you always have, not running out of V4 charges, you can cycle it with the hammers, your V2, and you have good, fast, instant kills for floors, whatever, 31 to 35, pretty much, right? And then sort of the place where I was able to start manualing, you see the hammer's still going crazy, timing my burst and cooldowns. I actually could have used it a little bit earlier. I popped my weapon aura. I probably could have used my divine echo here because I had so much time left over. But then I could have one-shotted floor 41 here. I think I did. So I think I could use my hammers here, my V2, to clear 42 faster because that was actually one of the slower floors. Like 42 went slower than 43 right here. Pretty insane. And then 44, just pop synchro, burst it down with my hammers, and then V3 was able to one-shot this Mugong. Pretty insane, pretty fast. I mean, paladins, right? I had 25 seconds left on Divine Echo, so I could have used that even sooner, used my hammers sooner. So a few seconds could have been shaved off, but that was a lot of fun and surprising. And it will not be long-lived because I'm sure other classes, players with more cap and more gear will do better. But until then, I'll soak up the #1 spot and just leave it on YouTube. But then Damien, this is our hard Damien run. Ed, back on his Night Walker, could not wait to test it out, so he had to just jump in our run. And we actually failed. This is our third run. We failed the first 2 runs pretty badly, to be honest. I don't even think we got to World Tree. Just the support, the lack of res just gave us less room for error. And with our Sia not able to use Hourglass, like I mentioned before, it just made it a little bit more challenging, right? And we still crushed through phase 1 with no real issues here. DPS was never the issue, but I think for most teams, it's going to be an adjustment getting used to mechanics, right? The mechanics are going to be a lot more important. You see people are dying more consistently, and 1 missed altar or 2 missed altars, and we get a rotted or a branded or a bad branding stack, and it actually could wipe the team, even if we're clearing as fast as we did. And you're going to see, so that is just something that I think a lot of teams are going to experience first on, because this team is cleared no problems, 1 shot for the last 3, almost last month. So we've had experience, and still we ran into some issues. So that's, in my opinion, pretty good. The trade-off between DPS and kind of brute forcing it and still having to deal with mechanics is nice. Like, it's not just going to be a cakewalk. People are going to have to show up and play well, or we're going to get wiped. And that, I feel like, is probably better for the game and makes it a little bit more rewarding, kind of with that combination of doing insane DPS and just taking pride in not dying and all those things. But I'm here to talk about Paladin a little bit. And so our DPS is much more cyclical in a 60-second time frame, right? Our peaks are 60-second and our downtime our valleys are another 60 seconds versus it used to be 90 seconds on, 90 seconds off. So you're going to see, like, in a 2-minute time frame, I am doing not very good, right? Warren is beating me, and throughout is beating me. He has more cap, but when the 3 minutes, pretty much an odd timed fight is going to be in my favor if I play it right. And then if it's an even fight, even minute fight, so 2, 4, 6, 8, it's just not going to be, our line count is not very great. So it'll be interesting to see how big of an impact, duration of fight matters, because I think it will. I think it's going to have a huge part based on your class and based on, a lot of factors. But you'll see right here, about 3 minutes in, I'm doing about 150 bill DPM, and I thought that was pretty good. Got orbs a little bit here at the end. Nothing crazy. The main thing for me was trying to make sure that I was able to use my V4 hammers, keep the charges up, not to not overuse or underuse it. Make sure that I always had charges available. I had them stocked up for when Echo comes up. And because, again, for Paladins, even more so than before, our burst, we basically are going to do no damage for half the fight. That's just how it is. When Divine Echo is down, we hit like worse than a wet noodle. We do nothing. We could just stand there in DPS and not lose. We could just stand there and do nothing and probably do similar DPS. It's just that bad, and you'll see from the charts. But when Divine Echo is up in the next 30 seconds, you'll see right here, if you compare it to Warren, I'm at 470, 468, and he's at 540. So watch the DPS, and Warren's a Sia, so he has good burst, but watch the DPS once Divine Echoes comes up right here for the next minute. Right, so I'm about 460, 470. Fly up, lose a few seconds. We're going to get World Tree as well, so lose even more seconds and time. But orbs are in a good spot here. We're going to get World Tree because we mistimed our stuns a little bit. Weren't used to how quickly this fight would go. But you're going to see, once these orbs get taken care of, once I'm able to burst, get my hammers out, you see I'm already past him, and then now I'm using my V3 for even more burst. And next thing you know, I mean, the DPS is just insane, right? And it has nothing to do with Warren, but it's just more about the nature of the Paladin and just how our damage is done, right? So this is why it's super important for Paladin players and a lot of players playing different classes to understand that B skills is where the damage is at. That was all V3, V4, V1, and look at that. That 5th minute is just insane, and the in-between minutes are absolutely nothing. And the charts are much different than it was before. Paladin players know Blast was our top damage, and then it went V3, but then you saw that right there. The chart was V3, V4, and then Blast as the main damage dealer. So that's a little bit of a change, something we have to get used to and understand. The gameplay changes. It's for the better, obviously. Look at the damage. But just understanding that and seeing that is super important. More content to come, more gameplay, more things to learn on my end as well. But thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.